Welcome to all of you in the second part of the beer manufacturing process. In the second part, you learn the malting process. In the brewer manufacturing processing, the malting is very important steps in which the enzymatic hydrolysis of the whatever the presence of the starch in the barley grain into the simple sugar. In this video discussion, you learn the principle of the malting process, what are the steps involving in the malting, and what are the main basic parameters involving the proper malting process. What is the basic principle of the malting process? Malting is a germination process. Barley grain which is converted into the malt, that means the germination process is carried out. The basic principle in the malting process, that means whatever the natural enzymes which are the present in the grain, which are the activated by the addition of the water. You can see this is the barley grain in which the main part germ, endosperm and the bran, in which water is added during the steeping process. Internal moisture containing is increased up to 45% by addition of the water, that is the steeping process. Due to the addition of the water, the germs containing or the grains containing natural enzymes like the amylase and the protease which is activated, resulting this amylase and protease enzymes which is the hydrolyze the whatever the internal containing complex substances into the simple, that means the starch is converted to the malt and the protein is converted into the amino acids. During the malting process, the grain's internal first moisture is increased, then start the germination process. You can see in this picture. During the germination process for 4 to 6 days under control condition, the proper germination is occurred and after that they are properly dried and stored and further processed. This is the basic principle involving in the malting process of the grain. The basic principle and the concept mapping in the brewing process, you can see in this picture the barley grain structure in which the main parts of that barley grain involving the germ, then this is the endosperm portion and outer layer, that is the bran layer, in which endosperm portion, this portion containing higher percentage of the starch, and the outer layer, that is the bran layer, which containing higher percentage of the protein. During the germination process, internal moisture containing increases due to the internal enzymes are activated and the germination processes start. For the germination process required simple component. These enzymes are internal containing complex substances like the starch which is converted to the simple sugar by the hydrolysis process by the alpha amylase enzymes, and whatever the protein which is containing on the outer layer, this protein is also hydrolyzed by the protease enzymes into the amino acids. Due to the whatever the complex substances which are present, which are converted into the simple component during the germination process, resulting its nutritive value, that means complex substances are converted to the simple components, that means insoluble component are converted into the soluble components. These components are important or the required for the fermentation process, and during the fermentation process this sugar and amino acids which are the help to convert into the desired final product. What are the main steps involving in the malting process? You can see in this flow sheet the main steps involving in the barley malting process. The first, receiving of the barley grain. During the receiving, checking its containing the moisture percentage and it's containing the contaminant particles. After the receiving, they are properly dried and stored. During the processing step, first step, that is the cleaning process, in which the barley grains are cleaning is carried out, in which screening, aspiration, metal detectors, in which all unit operations is carried out. Whatever the physical contaminant particles, these are the removed. And after that, the cleaning process, the next step is, that is the storage of the grains. The grains are stored into the silo beans. After that, in the steeping process, the barley grains are steeped into the chilled water for 2 to 3 days. During the steeping process, After 10 to 12 hours, the water is replaced with the fresh water in order to maintain the maximum oxygen level and the freshness of the steeping grains. Basic purpose of the steeping is that increase the moisture containing of that grain to a maximum 45%. Required 2 to 3 days steeping process. After that steeping process, the grains are separated from the steep water. After that, the grains they are passed into the germination, in which the germination is carried out by the different process by using maybe equipment or by using tray system or by platform system, under which the control condition germination process is carried out under the high humidity and the control temperature. Temperature required between the 15 to 21. In between the germination process, the continuously grains are shifted or turned in which the properly internal moisture content is maintained. Germination is required for 4 to 6 days. After the germination process, the grains they are properly germination is occurred, and after that the germination process. Next one is the drying process. The drying process in which the first whatever the internal moisture containing 45% is reduced to up to the test requirement as per their final moisture content of that grain, or the roasting process may be carried out, and after that that malted barley grains are stored into the silo beans. The barley grain malting process and its parameter. The first, that is the receiving of the grain. During the receiving, first check the moisture containing. Initially, moisture containing is reduced up to the 10 to 12% by the proper drying process, and after that the cleaning is carried out, and then after that is stored into the silo storage tank. Then second, steeping process, in which the grain containing moisture percentage is increased up to 45% by the addition of the chilled water, in which the grains swells and start the germination process. The next, remove the water containing, and then controlled germination process is carried out, in which the roots are appear on the grain during the germination process to maintain the maximum humidity and the controlled properly temperature and required to properly germination, that is the maximum 1 week. After the germination process, next one is the drying process, in which the first pre-drying process, the moisture content is reduced up to the 15 to 18% by using the 45 to 60%, 60 degrees Celsius temperature. That means the temperature must required to maintain in the range, that is the 45 to 60 degrees Celsius. Whatever the internal enzymes are present, they become required to active. After the drying process, next one is the kilning process. Some of the brewing process, the whatever the barley malt must require to properly reduce the moisture containing and the specific bitterness, taste and the color, more color. For that, barley grains are further dried or the roasted by using the hot air, that is the 80 degrees Celsius hot air, in which the moisture containing is further reduced to less than 5%, in which enzymatic activities also slightly reduced, but they are preserved. No microbial growth is expected to occur, and the development of the color and the flavor. These are the main processing steps and the parameters involving in the malting process of the barley grain. The processing equipment for the barley malting process. The first, that the after the cleaning process, the steeping process, the steeping tank, in which the internal provided with the properly inlet and outlet system with the agitators to facilitate the properly mixing and continuously maintain the internal required conditions. The next one is the germination process. The germination process, in which germination chamber, whatever the grains, these grains are shifted by using the screw conveyor systems, in which properly internal air circulation is maintained in order to prevent the formation of off odor and maintaining the proper temperature. And the drying and killing process, in the recent number of the equipments are developed, in which the all-in-one, that means the in one tank, that is the tumbling tank, in which the steeping is carried out. After that, on the same tank germination is carried out, and on the same tank drying process is carried out. The different equipments are available for the production process of the barley malt. These are the references used for the preparation of this PowerPoint presentation. In this video discussion, you will learn malting process, basic principle. In the next video, you will learn the beer manufacturing process in steps. Thank you very much.